Hello, welcome back. This is Insti and I'm continuing playing Sherlock Holmes, Jack the Ripper. Oh yes, yes. He's taking very casually at the moment. Two new deaths have just occurred last night, and I think it was last night. And if I remember correctly, we are playing as a Watson, and I have to get some knives, I think. So I'll probably jump towards the police station. I'm guessing we got the knives somewhere around here, but I want to check the area if there's anything happening or something like that, so I don't miss anything. So let's just jump into the police station and see what we can find. Bloody chair.
What a ridiculous idea to have asked Holmes for something to do. Where on earth am I going to find what he wants? Perhaps that kind Lucy will be able to help me.
Oh, we need to ask about...
I have no reason to go that way.
Ask about those knives and stuffs. Pig's head, I think. At least pig's head, yes. Well, butcher would be the first place to ask, and I do know where the butcher is, but apparently I need to ask about it from Lucy. Oh, he's sitting. I thought he was stuck in the ground. You're right, ma'am.
You got a pretty penny or some bread?
Well, I got penny, I think, but I can't give it to you, apparently. Interesting. What strange. Why? Was this the house of Lucy? Oh, Lucy, or... Oh, we need to go to the brothel, I think. We've been frequently visiting brothel with Holmes and Watson. Come on, open it. Hello.
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
And...
Good evening, Lucy. But is something wrong?
Good evening, Dr. Watson. Yes, it's my uncle. He's no longer with us.
Oh, no.
Please accept my condolences, miss.
Thank you, Doctor. But why are you here? Can I help you?
Let's start with the murders, and it seems like our dear Watson didn't tell Lucy about his uncle's condition. Her uncle's condition.
Do you know anything about the two latest murders?
Oh, goodness me, no. All the girls in the neighbourhood are terrified. Who will be next? That's what everyone is asking.
Okay, never mind the murders, I just need to know where the butcher is.
My request may sound rather strange, but do you know if there is a butcher's or slaughterhouse in the area where pigs are killed?
Yes, Fletcher's the man. He was a regular client, owner of a little butcher's shop not far. But Miss Bella didn't want him to come, as long as he didn't treat his awful sickness.
Can you point to his shop on my map?
Certainly.
Okay, now we know. Thank
Goodbye,
you.
Lucy.
Until next time, perhaps, Doctor.
Until next time, yes. And yes, where's the butcher? Right where I thought it would be. But I think we still take a little walk there and stretch our feet and get our little grey cells working. I've been thinking what to play after Jack the Ripper. Most likely I will continue with the Sherlock Holmes, but I'll be checking if I can find Disco Noir or Agatha Christie's Poirot, and Then There Were None. I have Then There Were None and Poirot CD. And I should have also Disco Noir. The problem is if I can get them work. If but it will take a little while to find them. But again, I probably continue with the Sherlock Holmes games. I still have... Wait. Testament... what is the... Crimes and Punishment and Devil's Daughter. I own those. I don't have...
There's Fletcher's butcher shop.
I don't have the chapter 1 at least yet. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's go and deal with the butcher.
Closed due to illness. If the proprietor is ill, the butcher's block is probably not being used. Perhaps I can use it. Now, where could a sick butcher have got to?
Well, there's this. So let's go here and ask. Well, umbrella should be good merchandise in London. After all, it's grey and moist.
Yes, if Fletcher is ill, he should be here.
Or in cemetery. Okay. Hello, good doctor.
Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Dr. Gibbons. I have come to see you because I was wondering if, by any chance, you happen to have a patient by the name of Fletcher, a butcher who would have relinquished his shop due to illness. An illness caught during nocturnal encounters, if you catch my drift.
Fletcher is one of the regulars at the clinic. Mercury treatment against syphilis. A night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury. He left London a fortnight ago for the fresh country air. Why is he of interest to you?
Oh, no reason. I'm more interested in using his shop, only for an hour or so. Would he have left his keys with family in the area?
He has none left, but he must have left Hardiman, the cat's meat seller, to oversee his shop. They're in business. They're good friends.
Do you know where he can be found?
No, but wander around the neighbourhood and listen for his beeps. He often passes in front of the clinic. Besides...
Okay, oh, the beep guy, okay. So let's go and find the beep guy. And... why is she over there?
It's me that you're looking for, sweetheart.
No, we're looking for Hardiman.
Actually, no. I am looking for the cat food seller, Hardiman.
Hardiman? Poor Hardiman? It isn't quitting time for him yet. That gives me some time to wander the streets before he shows up, and with him all the cats hereabouts.
Poor Hardiman?
Why did you call him Poor Hardiman?
Bah! He's in grieving, of course. Just a few weeks ago he lost his wife. And 3 months before that, his girl, poor fella. He was in tatters. Even came to cry on my shoulder, believe it or not.
Well... where does he live?
Do you know where he lives?
Sure. And for a copper, I might even tell you.
Here are a few coins.
You're too kind, Governor. Well, these days I knows that he lives with his mammy on Hanbury Street, in the same place where Dark Annie bled to death.
Oh, Hanbury Street. Okay, good.
Well, I must leave you. I must go to Hanbury Street.
Map of London, Wharfdale, Hanbury. Yeah, it...
This is the building in which poor Annie Chapman was killed. Beep, beep.
So he lives around here where Annie Chapman was killed. Cat's meat. Well, I think that's just a coincidence. Or a red herring. Hello there, beep beep.
Beep, beep. Hello, are you Mr. Hardiman?
That's me.
Oh, Fletcher.
I am Dr. Watson. I have come to see you about Fletcher's shop. I would like to use it for an hour or two. if you have the keys and your rates are reasonable.
Do you want to operate on someone in the butcher's?
Not at all. One of my friends needs it to prepare pig's heads.
Well, why not? Fletcher certainly wouldn't mind, but there's a problem.
You lost the keys?
A problem? How so?
This morning, the neighbour above broke his key in the door. The old boy must have already had a drink.
So?
Well, I tried my best to unjam it with Fletcher's spare key, which is pretty thin, and bam, that one broke too.
Hard luck. But if you have the end of the broken key, perhaps it can be fixed.
It must still be upstairs. I didn't pick it up. Fletcher has a key too, so I didn't think it was a problem. Fancy, if I just had another key with a simpler blade, I could copy it. I'm great at odd jobs.
Fine, I will try to find all of that.
Okay,
Well, see you later then.
Goodbye, sir.
Well, I was correct with the key part, but apparently a little bit more. So I'm guessing we need to go back to Whitechapel and...
I have no reason to go that way.
Okay, where do you live then? Do I go here? Where do you want me to go? Or did I get anything already? No. So... Fletcher's Becky, which is pretty thin. It must still be upstairs. I didn't pick it up. Fletcher has a key to... Okay. Oh, well, yeah, obviously he's living in the building where it says cat's meat. Okay. Ooh, quite dark. Oh, no, this is the place where the...
This key was left inadvertently. Indeed, there is nothing terribly precious inside. But what a stench.
Oh. I thought we were supposed to go to his building. I have some key now. Is that enough? I was just going to check the toilet that what Watson says, but apparently we managed to get a key from there. That was a bit lucky. I'm just checking if there's...
I have no reason
okay.
to go that way.
Well, to be honest, there's not much I can do. I thought we would go to his apartment, but apparently we don't need to do that. So let's give this key to him and see what we can do about it.
Have you found everything I need to remake the key?
I don't know. Apparently not.
Have you found everything I need to remake the key?
So we are still missing something. Am I allowed to move to here?
I have no reason to go that way.
No. Anything in Baker Street?
Why in the Lord's name would I go there?
So nothing there. So we have to find something from here. I'm trying to use spacebar at the moment. Yeah, this is quite dark. But we definitely... Oh! There is an upstairs. Okay. Yeah, because it's so dark, even I can't see anything. So I got lucky there and...
Oh, no. But what a... Oh, how dreadful.
Okay, do I even want to know?
Kebabs, the same as Hardiman's. So he prepares his meat here.
Yes, and what does he use?
My word, these are innards. This bag contains butcher's equipment.
Okay. We still don't know where the meat comes from.
I found it.
So,
Kebabs, the same as Hardiman's. So he prepares his meat here. This bag contains butcher's equipment. My word, these are innards.
I have to say that makes the Hardiman looks a little bit suspicious. Where do I go now? I think I'm going down. Yes, I am. Yeah, sorry about that. That's way too dark. It's way too dark for me also. I guess if I prop the gamma up, then I could see the stairs, but the problem is that then I'm guessing everything is going to be too bright. Anyways, let's talk. Do I need to just talk?
Have you found everything I need to remake the key?
Can I ask about the meat? Apparently not.
There you go. I think you'll manage with all of this.
I'm sure I will, sir. It won't take me long.
Butcher's upstairs.
Say, I think there's some of your business upstairs.
Oh, you're right. I ain't had the time to sort it out. Sometimes I'm in such a hurry to prepare my meat that I forget to clean up.
But why do it in the stairwell?
Offal bleeds bucket loads, they do, as you've seen. Now, why would I do that in my own lodgings?
Ah, of course. But what about your poor neighbours?
They owe it to me, all the times I've helped them out. And I don't have a shop either.
Well, seems reasonable about pig's heads.
Say, you sell animal meat, isn't that right? Would you know
Hopefully.
where I could find a dozen small pig's heads?
The guy who gets me my offal should have some.
I'll pay your day's wages if you meet me at Fletcher's butcher shop in 2 hours with the pig's heads. Here's a little advance.
I'll do my best, Doctor.
Okay, and what are we got? Your
The
building.
caretaker of another building told us that the place where your mother lives has a reputation for facilitating prostitutes' activities. Is that true?
Sure, the doors are never closed. They come through here like it's Paddington Station.
By the way, I heard about your loss. My condolences.
Ta, sir. I saw them die slow deaths. My little girl, her face was eaten by the disease.
Thank you, my friend, and please forgive me for bringing up such painful memories.
Go, I must do my rounds, and I will look for what you've asked for.
As for me, I will go and find Holmes, and we will go to the butcher's together. Let's return to Fletcher's butcher shop.
Okay.
Your heads are on the block inside. Say, you wouldn't be the same chap who bought my whole load the other day.
It's possible, but if you want to continue to do business together, you mustn't speak of my presence in the area to anyone.
Don't worry, my lord. I'll be as quiet as a church mouse.
Okay, that's good. Now we can probably get in. Anything to add, Watson? Okay, no.
Holmes, will you explain the reason and rhyme behind this masquerade?
Elementary. We shall conduct an experiment that will allow us to answer a simple question. Does the type of weapon used by the killer correspond to a specific profession?
Yes, elementary. So, what are we supposed to do? Looking those pig's head, there are stuff around there. Okay, let's start with these.
And here are our sow's heads. Congratulations, Watson.
You're welcome, Holmes, but what do you really want to do? Take up a collection?
No, you will see soon enough. We don't need that door. We have a hook here. Okay.
I need something.
Okay.
There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. However, I need some knives. Our only hope is behind this door.
Okay.
This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
So we need to...
I need something.
What are we missing? What do I have in inventory? Nothing. I'm guessing we need to use this hook. Oh my. I just... Hook to... Anything.
I need something.
Need some... Oh! Do... Anything inside here? Anything else about the wheel?
This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
Okay. I don't have any items except pocket knife, so I might as well try it before we leave. Good thing I tried, so I wouldn't have waste my time around. So we are changing
This wheel is broken and...
Do I use the pocket knife on this?
This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
Okay.
There, this door is slightly raised.
Okay.
There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. However,
so
this wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
I'll probably try to...
This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
Now we can change.
Elementary. While I prepare our experiment, could you find me 2 knives? A small one, somewhat larger than a pocket knife, with a large, sharp blade. We'll need it to separate the bones and to cut through the thick skins. Then find me a long knife that's at least 13 inches long, no shorter, that's sharp and has a thick blade.
Fine, Holmes, but I'd like to tell you about Hardiman. Do you know that he prepares his kebabs himself, and...
That he owns butcher's tools and uses offal? That's obvious, Watson. Pray, take my magnifying glass and my rule and get started, Watson. Find me these 2 knives.
Okay, we are controlling Watson and we need knives. Knives for pros, guns for show. Wait a minute. Are they here? I might... Okay, let's do a little bit here. I make a save. And... Yes. Like so. I'll put a little bit more gamma. I don't know if that helped at all. It didn't make the darker areas any... Well, maybe a little bit. For me, the white areas are a little bit washed out. I'm gonna check it again if I take it... It's not that huge of a help, so let's grab these knives anyways. So, short and stout. Would this be
Thanks
one of...
to the magnifying glass, I can find a small knife that matches Holmes's description.
It's either this or that, probably. Or this.
Fragments of cartilage. Fragments of cartilage. Large size.
Or do I need to
Large size.
check every one of these?
Fragments of cartilage. Fragments of cartilage.
Nothing.
Large size. Fragments of cartilage.
Okay. Can I put them back? Okay, I can. Small knife and larger than a pocket knife.
With the rule, I must find a large knife.
The problem is, which one can I use these on these?
Size 7 inches.
7.
Size 6 inches. Size 6.5 inches.
Come on.
Size 7 inches.
Okay. With a large sharp blade. And then we need a long... How long was it? Okay, I make a little note. At least 13 inches. Long knife that's at least 13 inches long, no shorter, that's sharp and has a thick blade. Okay. Let's start with that because it's easier. This looks quite huge.
Size 13 inches.
It could work. This. Come on.
Size 11
Too short.
inches.
Definitely too short. What about this?
Size 8.5 inches.
Too short. And I don't think we need this.
Size 10 inches.
Could you say, would this be considered a short knife? I'll take these knives and see what the Sherlock says about those. I don't know if the short one is short enough, or is it too long?
Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
Okay. So I'm guessing the short one is incorrect. Come on. Oh, I can... No.
Size 7 inches.
How much my pocket... I can't measure my pocket knife. Maybe this. To be honest, I'd probably go and check every one of these. So let's try this.
Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
Okay, no. So not this one. Can I see? Well, it is bigger than a pocket knife.
Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
No, Watson. Well, we probably have to test every last one of them. Come on.
Here are the knives you asked for. Be careful, they're awfully sharp. Holmes, I must say that this experiment is making me rather uneasy, comparing animal heads to these poor women.
You're right, Watson, but this somewhat shocking experiment may help to end this massacre and save other victims, you can be sure of that. Look, these pigs' heads are still bloody, which will suit our experiment perfectly. I have a pocket knife and a scalpel with me. With the two knives you just brought me, we have a similar array of weapons as those probably used by the killer. We saw 3 types of throat wounds on the deceased attributed to this man, those intended to slit the throat, those intended to decapitate, and the more superficial yet mortal wound that led to the death of the unfortunate victim in Dutfield's yard, Miss Stride. With the help of these 4 knives, we are going to try to recreate these wounds on the pigs' heads and see what we can establish about the weapon or weapons used. We may also be able to rule out Miss Stride as a victim of the killer of the other 3.
Okay, so time to start cutting, I think. Experiment 1, 2, and 3. Identification of the crime weapon or weapons. Select the knife or knives. So these are the test knives, I think, and then we just mark what we think was the knife used. So I guess, what am I supposed to do? Oh,
Let's try to use these weapons on this head to obtain a large deep wound to the throat, like those that were noted on 3 of the 4 victims.
okay, so we are cutting the throat. Let's try this first. Okay, is this enough?
This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade.
Okay, and about this?
This pocket knife is very sharp, but its blade is too thin.
Yeah, definitely too thin. I guess this is also. Yeah.
The wound is too shallow.
What about this? This could be it.
Look, Watson, this knife easily penetrates the flesh.
Do I need to... What did he say about this?
This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade.
There are similarities. Definitely the last one. But could it be the first one also? Definitely not these.
Elementary.
Oh, okay. So it can be multiple knives, and Holmes will say it if it's correct. Okay, that's good. So experiment 1 is done. What about the 2?
Let's try to decapitate our victim with these tools, knowing that the killer didn't quite manage to do it.
Charming.
Okay.
Look, Watson, this little knife with a wide base can easily slice the vertebrae of our porcine friend.
Yes.
The blade of this pocket knife is too thin to reach the vertebrae.
It seems so. Definitely not this one.
With a scalpel, the wound is too shallow. This knife with a long blade easily slices the flesh, but cannot dislocate the vertebrae.
Okay. But we have to remember that killer didn't manage to do it, so it could be this again. And this. Oh, I need to choose one more. Well, it's definitely not scalpel. Or what? Huh. Oh, wait a minute. What did he say about this?
Look, Watson, this little knife with a wide base can easily slice the vertebrae of our porcine friend.
Oh, so, okay, it cannot be the first one because it would be easy to use it in decapitation, if I'm understanding correctly. And the killer didn't manage to do it, so it would be the second. Do I really need to choose this?
Elementary.
Apparently I do. Okay. I was almost certain that the scalpel would be out of the question.
Let's see if these knives can inflict a mortal wound in a situation where a single quick blow is given. The scenario in question is that of Dutfield's yard.
Okay. Try to slit the pig throat in one mortal blow.
Look, Watson, the blade sinks easily into the flesh.
So this is definitely one.
In using the cutting edge of this pocket knife's blade, I can scrape the skin.
Probably not then.
This particularly sharp blade can make a deep gash with one quick slice.
Could be then. What about this?
It cuts through the flesh easily as the blade is so sharp.
So it would seem 1, 3, and 4. Let's try those.
Elementary.
Okay. So what now? Select the right knife or knives. Oh. Technically, the number 4 has been in every situation. So I guess that's definitely... I don't guess. Definitely fourth one. I don't know if we have to choose another knife. Then we have a problem. It's either this or this. But let's go with the first with this. So this goes here.
That's it, Watson. The big knife.
Oh.
With respect to the opinion of the medical examiners who noted that a butcher's knife with a long blade would have caused the eviscerations on some of the victims, we can assume, Watson, that he only used this type of weapon as it is capable of inflicting all of the wounds displayed. Furthermore, the Dutfield's Yard murder remains attributable, for the moment, to the Whitechapel killer, if we are able to explain why the murderer used his knife in a different manner. Why not go there now? We will try to reenact the killer's actions that night. Our first objective will be to clarify one way or another the statements of Constable Smith as well as this Hungarian by the name of Schwartz. We must also try to find out more about the International Working Men's Educational Club, underneath which the murder took place, perhaps at the Wasps Nest.
Yes, let's go to Dutfield's Yard or wherever, but quickly. I am in urgent need of fresh air.
Let's go to the Wasps Nest.
Apparently my mic was off. Hopefully it wasn't too long. So what I was saying, I'll take a quick break and then we go to the Wasps Nest and do the other stuff. Yeah, I apparently misclicked there. Sorry about that. Fortunately, I didn't say anything important. I just said that I put these conclusions here. Nothing major so far. But anyways, I'll be right back. Okay, let's continue. So, Wasps Nest it is, and it should be here, yes. Silent... Quite silent roads. Road. Oh, there's somebody over there. Anyways.
Don't forget the Bluto may still be hiding here. I will try to find out more inside. You, Watson, must intercept the policeman on his rounds. Given the hour and a bit of luck, it will be Smith. Try to get some information from him.
Understood, Holmes.
Okay, so we have only these three persons. Let's start with you.
Hello.
I know you. You're Squibby's guardian angel. You weren't dressed the same last time, but I don't forget a face. No hard feelings, eh? Join me in a glass?
Okay, Jack the Ripper.
Your Jack the Ripper is on everyone's lips and written in all of the papers. You must be awfully proud of yourself. You have skill, that's for certain. It's a shame you use it to mask rather than discover the truth.
You better believe that I'm going to find out who it is. I got a hold of old Schwartz's interpreter. You know, the Hungarian who saw Lestrade get it. Doesn't speak a word of English. And when he went round to the station, another Jew went along to interpret. I found that bloke, and he repeated everything that had been said at the station. It won't be long before I find these fellows.
Have to hand it to him. At least he's quite efficient when he wants to. Many people.
Why do you say these fellows? Were there several of them?
Do you not read the papers, or what? Well, given the rubbish that you read sometimes. Let me explain. At 12:45 a.m., Schwartz goes down Burner Street towards Fairclough, on the side of the road where the Workers' Club is. A bit further from there, just near Dutfield Yard's wooden doors, a chap and a lady are arguing. The Star said that the bloke wanted to push the girl into Dutfield's yard, but the translator told me that Schwartz saw him pulling her towards the road. She doesn't want to follow. He grabs her by the shoulders and throws her to the ground. She falls. Falls a bit, but not too loudly. Old Schwartz is scared, crosses to the other side, but continues in the same direction. The bloke with the girl notices him and yells, "Lipsky!" At the same time, another bloke at the corner of Fairclough and Burner who was lighting his pipe gets in on the action. He starts coming towards Schwartz in a menacing way, and Schwartz takes to his heels, doesn't see anything else. Once he finds out that a woman got herself killed, he went to testify, and identified Long Lestrade as the woman he saw getting thrown about. So there were definitely two blokes, mate. But why am I telling you all this?
In vino veritas.
Yes. Wisdom in the wine or something like that. Anyways, too many people. That's interesting.
I'll take my leave then, Mr. Bulling.
That's right. Till next time.
Can we?
If you're looking for some company, Gov, you've come to the wrong place. Me, I'm just here to pour. I don't care who you is, I knows nothing, and I don't care neither.
Fair enough. And you, sir?
A draft, my good man.
Here, sir.
The Whitechapel killer.
Tell me, was it not a mere stone's throw away from here that the Whitechapel killer struck last week?
That'd be Jack the Ripper, that's his name. Slit the throat of a working girl in a small courtyard over there behind them big wooden doors.
Below the Workers' Club?
The very spot, below Lipsky and Co. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack was one of them, if you catch my drift.
I might. What are you insinuating?
Lipsky and Company. Do you mean to say that someone called Lipsky runs this club?
Nah, it's just that it's full of Jews. In Whitechapel, we call them all Lipskys, like that Lipsky who killed that girl in Batty Street last year.
Oh, really?
Last year, a Jew named Israel Lipsky killed a lass who was 6 months pregnant by making her drink acid. One trial and one protest by rabbis later, and he was hanging. By those who don't much like him, the Jews are called Lipskys.
Is the term Lipskys used to refer to the Jews in the area, and is this club frequented by Jews?
You got it. Socialist Jews even. They spend their evenings hollering, singing. I've seen them spitting on the bosses.
Oh, so it's so they're using it as a name for all the Jews. Okay, about the victim.
And you know the victim?
No more her than any other. The working girls don't drum up business too much in this street. They need a reason to end up here.
Okay, obviously there might be, let's say that somebody wants to insinuate that the Jews are, or some of the Jews are killers because of the earlier incident. If they think it's true, so they could try to point it towards the Jews, or there might be some unfortunate coincidences at the moment.
Very well. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Because, yeah, we saw the situation. There were two guys.
First and foremost, I must find P.C. Smith.
I think he's standing right over there. Yeah, there's two persons. We saw them on the streets, and we saw the girl falling down. But what we do not know is if the two were murderers. They might have roughened her and whatnot, but could be that they are not the killers. Again, I have no recollection how this game ends, so we will find out. Let's talk to this Bobby here.
Good evening, Constable.
Good evening, sir.
I am Dr. Watson. Would you happen to be P.C. Smith, the man who patrols this beat?
That's me. And you work with the famous Sherlock Holmes, don't you? What can I do for you?
Time of death.
I believe you were on duty the night when the murder took place here. You would certainly be able to confirm a few details, such as the time of death that the medical examiner gave.
It's just that I wasn't there when the body was discovered. I don't think I can help you.
Okay. What about the victim?
But I was told that you had seen the victim that very night.
Indeed. But it was before the murder. I saw her, not far from here. She was talking to a man. It was around 12:30 or 12:35 a.m.
Okay, 12:30 to 12:35. Talking. Victim. Okay, and a man.
What did this man look like?
I only saw him from behind, really. He was wearing a short black outfit, a small felt hat like a cap in a dark colour, and a white collar. He seemed to be a respectable type. He was carrying a packet in his hand wrapped in newspaper, about 18 inches long and about 6 inches wide.
His outfit reminds me of someone that I know. Was he a large man, on the older side?
I don't think so, no. Even though I only saw him from behind, I would say that he was barely 30 years old, or even less. Say 28, or even less. 26 years old, and 5 foot 8 inches tall at the very most. He had a small dark brown moustache and an olive complexion, I would say, but once again, I only caught a brief glimpse of his face in 3/4 profile.
Interesting. So quite youngish. He had a package. Quite bigger one. And what else? Who else saw this man?
Nobody else saw this man?
I discussed this previously with Mr. Eagle, the president of the Workers' Club. That night he returned around 12:40 a.m. to the club. He used the passage through Dutfield's yard to get into the club because the main door was locked. He can attest that he didn't see anyone else in the passage at that time, but wasn't really paying attention to who else might have been in Burner Street itself. He was listening to the song coming from the club. In short, no one else saw him.
Well, thank you for having satisfied my curiosity, my friend.
A fine evening to you, Doctor.
We got some times there and whatnot, so we probably need those later. I try to type as much as I can, but we probably need to check on the dialogues. Fortunately, we can do that. Oh, there you are. I think we need to go here now.
Dutfield's yard.
Yes. At least I'm guessing so. We could check this again. Apparently.
Here's the Workers' Club, next to Dutfield's yard.
Yes. Can we check anything?
Here's the Workers' Club, next to Dutfield's yard.
Right. So, no, nothing else. What I was thinking. Oh, by the way, yeah, I noticed that sometimes the lips of the police officer didn't actually move. Watson. Well, this is again quite dark.
Your interrogation of P.C. Smith has proven to be very shrewd and of great interest. Thanks to the information I've managed to gather and that you were able to read in my notes in Baker Street, Watson, we can recreate what happened that fateful night at this location, Dutfield's Yards to be precise, the site of Lestrade's murder.
Oh, I don't have the timelines of the earlier. I need to check those from the notes or documents. Nope. So Lestrade, 45 years old. She lived past 3 years, stormy. Yes, we know that. The victim was discovered dead by one of Louis' steam shoots at 1 o'clock. Okay, 1 o'clock. Come on. 1:00. The man's first step was to verify if his wife. The two doctors who came to the police request to the scene. At the police request to the scene of the crime in the moments after the discovery of the corpse, put the time of death after 12:46. 12:46 or later. What else? What else? Neither the body nor the clothes were damaged. The location of the discovery was courtyard called Dutfield's Yard, whose doors lead to Berners Street, Whitechapel. The victim's found stretched out the ground few inches from the wall of one. Okay. This association compound, mainly Jews originally from Russia and Poland, were organizing a conference that night. Subject: why should Jews be socialist? The meeting ended. Meeting end around 11:30. But many members remained to debate. An American present that evening declared to have been in the courtyard at 12:20. American. And went into the street and didn't see anything unusual. He then rode back inside the club, but his estimation of time spent outside approximate at best. Two witnesses were quoted. Smith. Okay. Smith in the night question, and the transcript of this observer clothes worn by the victim. Hopefully I have all the... Nope.
Watson, imagine
Nope.
the victim laid down there on the ground.
Come on. I want to do the timeline first. Timeline, yes. Okay. What do we have? Midnight meeting ends. It was 11... Wait, what? I'll probably put 020 then. Because they continued... No! Wait, what? Well, I can't put 11:30, so I have to put 12, because we have...
The Socialist Club meeting ends. The members, mainly Jewish men, gradually begin to leave the club in little groups or alone.
Well, yes, it took a time to end, but the timeline we have is 11:30, and of course it took a time. 12:20 a.m. American Soul goes out for some air. No one is in the street. Yes, so that goes here.
12:20 a.m. The American leaves the Socialists Club for some fresh air. The street is deserted.
I really didn't need to actually check those times because they are here already. Well, this is weird. So what? 30 to 35.
12:30 to 12:35 a.m. Smith notices Liz Stride talking to the man with the package.
I was too eager to actually get those numbers by myself that I didn't realize they were already here. 12:40, which is quite sad. I had hoped to do this by myself, but I'll take it.
12:40 a.m. Eagle, the president of the club, enters the workers' club via the passageway through Dutfield's Yard. He passed through Dutfield's Yard. If Liz Stride had already been killed, he would have had to walk over her. The murder, therefore, had not yet happened.
That is true. And Israel Schwartz passes by Dutfield's Yard and witnesses the attack. 43.
12:43 a.m. Israel Schwartz passes by Dutfield's Yard and witnesses the attack on Liz Stride.
And attacker sees him and cries, Lipsky. That is 44.
12:44 a.m. Schwartz crosses to the other side of the road. The attacker sees him and yells, Lipsky. The attacker must have shouted to his accomplice at the end of the road, Lipsky, indicating at Schwartz using his head in an attempt to scare off this undesirable.
Okay, 45, please followed by a few feet by this man, 45. Well, this is getting cramped.
12:45 a.m. Schwartz runs away, followed for a short distance by this man.
Diemschutz wants to enter with his cart pulled by a pony.
1 a.m. Mr. Diemschutz wants to enter with his cart, but the pony refuses. We know that the murder took place between 12:45 and 1 a.m. Mr. Diemschutz, therefore, must have disturbed the killer. Let's place Lestrade's murder on the timeline, Watson.
Let's. So it's. Come on, a little bit. It's right over here.
12:45 to 1 a.m. The murder of Lestrade. It took place in this very spot, as the traces of blood were very confined. We will come back to this point in a few moments to elaborate on what could have happened. Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
Yes, we are. So let's continue. And yeah, we need to check that, but I'll go around this area. I noticed something there. Again, it's quite dark, so I'm going to use the space bar to... Okay, we can't go up there. So... there is definitely something here.
This door leads to the Club for Jewish Socialist Workers.
Okay, that's good to know.
This door leads to the Club for Jewish Socialist Workers.
Can't see anything else, so we might as well check the death scene. So, where do we start?
The ground is muddy.
Okay, ground is dirty, again.
The throat, there is but one clean cut, slightly slanted downwards.
Okay, and
the throat, there is but one clean cut, slightly slanted downwards. Her left hand, it is closed around a bag of pastils. Her left hand, it is closed around a bag of pastils.
Right,
Her right hand, it is bloody, as is her wrist.
So it would suggest she tried to cover the wound, maybe? Anything on the dress?
Her knees and dress, they are clean.
Oh, okay. So I think we've discovered everything we can. So let's go with the... Was it deduction or a conclusion? Okay, deduction. We can just drop these here. The knees and the bottom of the dress at the front are clean, the ground is dirty, so it means the victim was careful. The victim didn't struggle on the ground, the victim struggled on the ground. Well, obviously she didn't struggle. Was killed lying down, victim wiped her clothes, the victim was killed upright. Upright, I think? Okay, what else? Lestrade had her back to the killer. Lestrade and her murderer were lying down at the moment of the mortal blow. Lestrade and her murderer were standing at the moment of the mortal blow. Well, they were standing. I'm guessing standing. Okay, I don't know. Let's continue. The wound to the neck is clean, starting from the right and slightly oblique and descending. So it would mean he would slash on the right hand. Because it's downward. I'm guessing. The blow was given to the middle of the neck. What? The blow was given with the right hand. The blow was given with the left hand. Right hand, because, yeah, if you cross, it would go a little bit downward. So I would go with the right hand. Oh. What else? There is only one wound, and it proved to be mortal. The victim had her neck wrung. There is but one superficial wound to the neck. Well, it cannot be superficial because she's dead. The murderer struck the blow from below. The murderer struck the blow from above. The murderer struck the blow from his height. No. Definitely not below. That would be then upward. But above or from his height? His height could be also... What happens if I... What are the choices then here? Strike killer is taller than the victim. Strike killer is shorter than the victim. Strike killer is approximately the same height as the victim. I don't think he is that much taller. No, that's wrong. It would have... Okay. Should it be then same height? Because it's not that huge difference with the cut. It... slightly oblique and descending. So it's slightly... So I don't think it was so far up. So are they same height? Okay, yes, they okay. Strike the blow from his height. Okay. Yeah, because it's not that the angle is not that hard. Right hand, where does it lead? What do we have? Killer is right-handed. Ambidextrous must be left-handed. Right-handed in this case. And what else? The murderer is strong. The murderer is weak. The murderer is lumberjack. I go with the lumberjack. Well, it's not lumberjack, but well, he could be weak with a very sharp knife, but I guess he's strong because it's a quite deep wound and has to be a quite deep wound. Is a weak man, strong man, woman? Well, killer could be a strong woman. At least Danny is apparently a strong woman, but I'm guessing it's a strong man in this case. Bloody right hand and wrist. The carotid wasn't slit. Yes, the victim put her hand on her throat, trying to stop the bleeding. Knife blade used in the Lestrade murder was thin. Murder weapon used against Lestrade was Mezzaluna. The knife blade used in Lestrade murder was thick. It seemed quite cleanish, the cut, so I would say thin. Maybe?
We have two possibilities. The first is that Lestrade's killer and the attacker, seen by Schwartz, were one and the same man. The second is that Lestrade meets a client. After some discussion, they head towards Dutfield's yard to do their business. As soon as they arrive, the attacker appears while his accomplice keeps watch.
Schwartz's arrival dissuades the two men from lingering.
They leave the area and leave Lestrade in a tense state, but glad to have kept her client. He will be her murderer. Both hypotheses are possible, but an incongruous detail will serve to corroborate one of them. An incongruous detail that we were able to establish regarding the Hanbury Street murder. Which one would that be, Watson? Look at the victim carefully, Watson, and tell me the link between the murder of Lestrade and those of Nichols and Chapman.
Okay.
No, that's not it.
Okay. What about
The
these?
bag of pastels, Holmes.
The bag of pastels. Indeed, Watson. If this woman had to defend herself against an attacker, why would she have held onto this bag in her hand? It didn't fall because this woman's hand tensed at the moment when she fell to the ground. Therefore, Watson, we know the killer distracted his victim's attention by making them take something out of their pockets. Why didn't he slit her throat like the others? He must have feared a struggle with this strong-willed woman. Why didn't he eviscerate her? Because Louis Diemschutz arrived.
Do you think the Whitechapel killer is behind this murder, Holmes?
Yes, and now this murder has been linked to its rightful perpetrator, it will take on deeper meaning when we have examined the facts from that night. Let's go to Mitre Square, where Catherine Eddowes was killed. And make haste, Watson, as we have another murder to commit in 40 minutes.
Wait, what?
Here we are, Watson, Mitre Square. It took us a mere 20 minutes to get here. If the killer left Dutfield's yard around 1 o'clock, as we assume, he would have arrived here at around 1:20 a.m. We know that Catherine Eddowes' body was discovered at 1:44 a.m. Catherine was released from prison around 1 o'clock, but we have no information as to what she could have been doing until her death. This place has 3 possible ways out. Let's see where they lead. As a precaution, I brought an old map of the area with me. It will help us get our bearings.
Let's hurry, Holmes. This neighborhood makes me ill at ease.
Okay, okay. Map of the vicinity of the Mitre Square. Plan of Mitre Square surroundings. Mitre Street, Mitre Square, St. James Passage, Church Passage, Synagogue, Imperial Club. Okay. So we are at the square and I can't see anything. Oh, there's a light. Can I use that? Okay.
Take the lantern, Watson.
Let there be light. So good. At least we had... Oh, you are our lantern carrier. Okay. I think I'll continue this part of the game in this episode and then call it to an end, probably. Let's see how long it takes, but... Come on, Watson. So there's the St. James Passage. So it's here. We were here. I'll take a look around how far I can go in here.
This dark and narrow passage leads to St. James's Place.
Yes, it does. Do I need to go there? Can I go there? I'm not certain, but
Nothing of interest here.
I guess this game has tried to model quite accurately these areas. I'm not certain, but it would seem like it. There is the murder scene.
Church Passage. It must be opposite the Imperial Club at 16 to 17 Duke Street. Let's go to the end of this lane, Watson.
Apparently we go end at the end of this lane then. Come on, Watson. Don't be afraid. I need your light. Thank you. Anything over here? Okay, we can't definitely go there, so we need to go here. A little bit light.
Hello, you must be Abraham Solomonovich, am I right?
Yes, that's me. But I know you. You brought a lad to my place to take care of a cat, and I loaned you my mask.
That's me. May I present?
Dr. Watson, of course. Delighted. And you? I have known for a few days that you are a detective by the name of Sherlock Holmes. Is that so?
You don't miss a thing, do you? It was the children who gave me away, am I right?
They didn't want to, but I gained their confidence by offering them a small comb and half a cake.
They made a good deal out of it, so I don't blame them. However, I must request, as a personal favor, that you do not reveal my identity.
You have my word. Curiosity is just killing me, as you may have guessed. Would it be breaking an oath to confide in me the nature of the investigation that you are leading?
Okay, church passage.
Does this spot where we are now in Mitre Square mean anything to you?
A demon lives in this city, Mr. Holmes. These unmentionable acts degrade the human race and put the Jewish community in terrible danger.
Lots of rumors are circulating, but they are but rumors. I see you're leaving the Imperial Club. It's a stone's throw away from Mitre Square, and the 2 recent murders were most probably discussed in there. Do you know if anyone from the club saw or heard anything that night?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. That night, 3 members of our club saw a woman talking to a man at the very spot where we are standing, a few minutes before the body was found, at the end of this passage. Fantastic, Holmes.
Calm yourself, Watson. There is nothing at the moment to suggest it was the victim. Can we meet these members?
I am afraid that won't be possible. As soon as the police heard the evidence of these men, they were sworn to silence.
I understand.
But you are working for the good, and I must tell you what I know. One of the 3 men, my friend Joseph, left that night with 2 other members of the Imperial Club, Harry and another Joseph. It was around 1:35 a.m., perhaps a bit earlier, when Joseph, not my friend, but the other, the Aldgate butcher, exited. He saw a man and a woman in discussion at this very spot where we are.
These men must have been about 16 feet away from the couple.
That's about right. So Joseph, the butcher, said to the other 2, while pointing at the couple, "Look, I don't like going home alone when I see this kind of people here." My friend Joseph looked at them without noticing anything strange and didn't understand what he meant. They had the look of 2 rather unkempt people, but no more than that.
Okay, about the testimonies then.
After the murder, did these 3 men tell the police what they had seen?
Not quite. Harry stated that he hadn't seen the couple. As for Joseph, the butcher, even though he was the one who commented on them and pointed them out, said that he couldn't remember anything except that the man was about 3 inches taller than the woman, who was 5 feet tall, no more. My friend Joseph, on the other hand, did his best to cooperate with the police.
Okay, and description.
And what did your friend Joseph say? What did this man and woman look like?
The man must have been 30 years old, about 5 foot 7 inches, light complexion, and a fair moustache. He wore a loose, dark jacket, a grey cap, and a red scarf around his neck. But he said that he only saw him for a brief instant, and it would be impossible to recognize him.
And the woman?
He only saw her from behind. She had her hand on the man's stomach and seemed to be pushing him. He said that he remembered that she was small, was wearing a black jacket and a black bonnet. After his testimony, the police took him to see the clothing of the deceased, and Joseph said that they looked identical to those of the woman he had seen. Like I already said, he only glanced at the 2, as he was headed with the others in the direction of Aldgate.
One final question. The Imperial Club is a Jewish club, isn't that correct?
Indeed.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Solomonovich.
Bah, it was nothing. We must at all cost prevent this demon from striking again, and the police seem to have some difficulty in doing that. I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Holmes.
Okay, that... Excuse me. That was interesting. Wait.
This building is the Great Synagogue of London.
Yes, apparently it is. And that was... We can check that also. I think we need to go back to the body. I don't think there's anything else we can learn.
The Imperial Club.
Imperial Club.
I have no reason to go that way.
It almost seems like we have to go at some point. I don't know. Maybe. And what about here?
Closed.
Oh, well, that would make sense. It's quite late. So, interesting is that the eyewitnesses say that the person was around 3 inches taller than the woman who was 5 feet in height. But the overall statement is 5'7" with mustache. Around 30s, which was same as the other killings. So now we are going... The other killing. Oh, Stride. Stride killing? So now we are here.
Watson, we are now in the exact spot where poor Eddowes tragically ended her days.
This spot is very dark, Holmes.
That is probably why our murderer chose it.
Yeah, and he had more time with her. So,
do these objects spread out by the victim remind us of anything, Watson?
The items meant for a woman. I'll collect everything first before we continue, okay?
Part of this apron is missing. We will follow up on that shortly.
Okay.
The inside of the thighs is clean. Once again, there were no sexual relations between the victim and her murderer. The main incision goes from the sternum all the way down to the groin. The murderer opened this abdomen as if it were an animal carcass. A kidney was removed. The uterus was removed.
Thimble?
A thimble is located right beside one of the victim's hands, just like Chapman's sachet of pills and Stride's pastils.
What else? You check that. Anything over there?
These intestines were pulled out altogether to grant access to the abdomen. These intestines were pulled out altogether to grant access to the abdomen.
And apparently the killer mutilated her face also.
The head is turned towards the left. The murderer must have been on the right side of his victim. Let's look at her from the front.
Yeah, that's not a pretty sight.
There is but one wound, Watson. It goes from the left side and descends in a slight oblique towards the right side. The nose was cut. The eyelids were cut off. The cheeks were slashed to make them thinner. The cheeks were slashed to make them thinner. There is but one wound, Watson. It goes from the left side and descends in a slight oblique towards the right side.
What else? Do I have everything?
There is but one wound. The eyelids were cut off. There is but one wound. What?
Do I have everything now?
My goodness, Holmes, it was a slaughter.
Understand, Watson, that our killer had neither the time nor the conditions to bother with the niceties. He had no more than 7 or 8 minutes at most to kill the woman, open her up, and all the while in total darkness.
Holmes, it's a woman, a poor victim you're talking about.
Consider all the time this man lost and the risks that he actually took by cutting the victim's face and the lower abdomen in around 20 precise spots, especially the lungs and the liver. These attacks, which I considered gratuitous, are in fact nothing of the sort and have as much sense as the removal of the organs. We must, first and foremost, locate the 3 exits leading to Mitre Square, Watson.
Okay. So 3 exits are there, there, and there. Do I need to actually go? I think I
This
do.
is Mitre Street, from where Watkins, the constable who found the body, came. Watson, we must now consult our timeline. We began in Dutfield's yard, but this time we will try to recreate the actions of certain people. In this case, those of the 2 policemen.
Okay, 1:30 a.m. Watkins enters Mitre Square. So let's put it right.
1:30 a.m. PC Watkins didn't see the corpse while on his rounds. If PC Watkins did his rounds properly, and there is no reason to doubt this was the case, as he discovered the corpse a quarter of an hour later, the murder hadn't yet taken place, and there was no one in Mitre Square, unless they were hidden among the shadows. Enter Mitre Square via Mitre Street, Watson, and stop and try to see me with the lantern. I will be where poor Edow's corpse was.
You control Dr. Watson, so I'll go forward. I supposed to... Okay. Do I need to go over there as... see when I see the...
I see you, Holmes.
Perfect, Watson. Let's look at our timeline, Watson.
Okay, let's look. So Watkins entered Mitre Square. Murder hadn't yet taken place 1:30 a.m. So let's put it here.
Very good, Watson. Thus we can categorically state that the murder had not yet occurred at 1:30.
1:35 a.m. A man and woman are in discussion at the entrance of Church Passage. Okay.
1:35 a.m. A man and a woman are arguing at the entrance of Church Passage. The man came from Aldgate.
And 1:42, PC Harvey arrives in Mitre Square.
1:42 a.m. PC Harvey arrives in Mitre Square. It should be noted, Watson, that the constable didn't enter Mitre Square. He could not have seen the corpse lying on the ground. But would he have been able to see a man sitting or standing? Go to the Church Passage entrance, then come back and try to see me while holding your lantern. I will stay at the spot where the victim was discovered.
Okay. Am I on the right passage? I should be. So let's go forward.
I see you, Holmes.
You had to proceed into the square in order to see me, something Harvey didn't do. It is possible that the killer was still there. 1:42 a.m. PC Harvey arrives at Mitre Square but does not go in. The murderer may well have still been there.
Yeah, it's actually quite hard to see when you have the light source and everything else is quite dark, unless it's very bright and very good light source, so it's hard to see outside the area of the light. Obviously. Yeah, I'm stating the obvious. 1:44, the body is discovered.
1:44 a.m. The body is discovered. Let's put the murder of poor Eddowes on the timeline, Watson.
It has to be after 35. Oh, yeah, it says it already here. 1:35 to 1:42 is probable.
1:35 and 1:42 a.m. The murder would appear to have taken place between these times, that is to say, within 7 minutes.
Agreed, Holmes. But does this really prove that our killer had the time to perpetrate these 2 murders?
Let's look at our timeline, Watson.
Sherlock and Watson took 20 minutes to go from Dutfield's yard to Mitre Square, and was it 1? Is it this?
There, Watson, we are now certain that the murderer really had the time to commit these 2 murders.
Incredible.
Let's look at our deduction board, Watson.
Okay, let's look at the deduction board. Inventory deduction. Thimble is found right beside the victim's left hand. Edo's liver and lungs underwent small incisions. Edo's kidney and uterus were removed. Edo's nose was cut. Edo's eyelids were cut. Edo's cheeks were slashed to become thinner. Okay. So the items are meant for a woman. What are these items belong to the victim. The murderer is a woman. These objects were before the murder. I would say the items belong to the victim. Maybe. Murderer is a transvestite, fetishist. Murderer search Edos. Well, obviously, search Edos. Oh, we have... Okay, let's start with this then. The wound to the neck goes from right and slightly oblique and descending. The items at the victim feet are very orderly. Piece of Catherine Edo's white apron was cut off. The central incision goes from the sternum downwards towards the groin. So what do we have? The murderer was behind the victim. The blow was fierce and instantaneous. The murderer wanted to decapitate the victim. I guess fierce and instantaneous. I guess I hopefully got it right. I don't know. The murderer is a bit shorter than the victim. Well, obviously not. The wound is superficial. The wound is the same kind as that of Lestrade. It is similar to this Lestrade. And we do know the perpetrator is not shorter than the victim. And definitely not superficial. The murderer is ambidextrous. Edo's murderer is right-handed. The murderer must be left-handed. I would still say right-handed. Maybe. Okay, that's correct. Because if it's the same killer as... And when it is the same killer as the earlier, so it has to be right-handed. Died the same way as Lestrade, definitely. Murderer is short and left-handed, definitely not. Murderer strangled his victim, not in this case. So, same way as Lestrade. And what do we have here? An accomplice of Lestrade murder killed C. Edos? No. Lestrade murder did not kill C. Edos? No. Edos and Lestrade murder may be one and the same? Yes. Sternum... What do we have here then? The murderer cut open the stomach in a surgical manner. The murderer opened a Cedar's abdomen like that of an animal. The murderer cut open the stomach randomly. Well, definitely not randomly, but like the Holmes already pointed out, it was similar to the animal. Feet orderly, piece of white apron. So what do we have? Objects fell by chance. No. The Edo's killer likes order. Edo's murder is unfeeling and organized. Well, he likes order, apparently, but I think this was the earlier also. Edo's murder is unfeeling and organized. I'm almost certain. Was it? I can't remember. I'm almost certain that yes, unfeeling and organized already there, yeah. So we have everything from here. Let's continue with this one. The search status, thimble. Oh, right. I could check what do we have here. Edo's murder lost a thimble. No. Edo's held a thimble in her hand. Edo's struggled. Probably thimble in her hand. Yes. And what do we have here? Edo's murderer hates kidneys. Edo's murderer knew anatomy. Edo's murderer did not know anatomy. Well, he has to have some kind of a knowledge about anatomy.
This spot is making me nauseous. Can we not head back, Holmes?
We certainly can't, Watson. We have one final point to address. Do you remember the piece of white apron that was missing just now? It was found just a few steps away from here, at the entrance of a building. That's where we must go.
Okay, where? Imperial Club, Mitre Imperial Club, Mitre Square, Goulston Street. Yeah, you can't combine square and street. Well, you can try, but it doesn't work. So is it Goulston Street then?
Let's go.
Apparently it is.
There's the spot, Watson. By night, Goulston Street is deathly silent, which will permit us to carry out a fair few experiments. Let's find the entrance where the piece of the victim's apron and the mysterious chalk message were found.
Okay. I don't know, should I continue or not? Well, I might as well do this part, so we can have a nice conclusion for this episode. So what are we doing here? Coin store.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
Yes, yes we actually are.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
So that would point out that the killer came here. And probably... Yeah, it's the text, about the text. There were
I have no reason to go that way.
Okay. Am I going actually up
I
here?
have no reason to go that way.
Do I need to check every one of these?
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
Okay, I will check every last one of these. Alkovsky.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
Oh, Solomonovich.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
How did I miss those? Okay, let's start with this.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
Seriously, what am I missing?
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
And last one.
Look at these signs, Watson. We are in the Jewish High Street.
Okay. Anything... It was in the doorway or something like that. Oh.
There's the spot where the apron and the message were found by PC Long. Now, let's recreate the scene. Remember, Watson, it was raining that night. Find me something with which to mimic raindrops hitting this wall while I write something with my chalk.
The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing. But what does it mean?
Have you found something for us to pour water from, Watson?
Find a container and some water. Let me remind you that it's nighttime and the street is deserted, Holmes.
Stop whining. Anyways, interesting that it... There's something over there. Interesting that it didn't activate earlier. Was I supposed to check every part of those before?
That may come in handy. Who knows?
Before it activates. We have a rope. There's something over there. What is that? A stick.
An old wooden pole. A merchant probably threw it out.
Maybe. Maybe. So we probably need it for that.
A watering can. That's what I need. But I can't reach it.
Of course you can. You have a pole.
A watering can. That's what I need, but I can't reach it.
Ah, I see. We need this so we
It may
can...
come in handy. Who knows?
We already do know. So let's put these together and use the rope. Now we can grab that.
A watering can. That's what I need, but I can't reach it.
Wait, what? Seriously?
A watering can. That's what I need, but I can't reach it.
So I need something else. That's not enough. Oh, box. Okay. Do I need to use... Ooh. What am I supposed to do? Okay. So... Is that it? Oh, now... Okay. Interesting. Now we need a water. And I guess we can find it from there. Then we can make it rain. Filling the odd request of Sherlock Holmes. I think this should work.
The Jews are not the men.
Okay. And where is the...
The Jews are not the men.
Okay. Do I talk to you?
Yes, I have, Holmes.
Okay. Now.
If this message were written by the killer, then it would have been lying in this entrance for up to 35 minutes before being discovered. Let's find out in what state it must have been. This message could not have withstood an entire night in the rain. During the investigations carried out on the night of the double murder, PC Hulse inspected the entrances of this street around 2:20 a.m. and confirmed to have seen nothing out of the ordinary. At 2:55 a.m., 35 minutes later, PC Long found Catherine Edow's piece of apron and the message in chalk. This message would not have withstood a whole night in the rain, as had I continued to water it for a little longer, I would certainly have erased it. It was written, therefore, at the moment when the piece of apron was dumped. This substantiates PC Hulse's statement, which stated he had seen neither of these during his rounds. After its discovery, it was guarded and protected from the rain, which was subsiding, which explains why it was still legible when it was erased at 5:30. My dear Watson, when you met P.C. Smith on his rounds in the street, where was he? On the pavement or in the middle of the road?
In the middle of the road, Holmes, without a shadow of a doubt.
Good. You will go down the street with your lantern as if you were a policeman on patrol, using Smith's position as a guide. As soon as you see the entrance where I used the watering can, tell me if you see anything.
Okay, so am I just walking around in the middle of the road? How far I'm supposed to walk? Do I need to go closer? What am I supposed to do?
There, Holmes.
Oh.
From here, I can see something written.
Can you read it?
No.
Do you see the white rag, Watson?
Yes.
I see something on the ground, but I'm not sure if it's what you were talking about.
P.C. Long, who found the piece of apron, was examining the interior of the entrances, and yet nobody would have predicted that this piece of material would be discovered on the very night of the murder by a policeman on patrol.
What are you trying to get at, Holmes?
Let's look at this message on the wall, Watson. The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing. In other words, the Jews were possibly blamed for nothing, but that will no longer be the case. Reading this message naturally begs one question. What would that be, Watson?
Why?
Indeed, Watson, why? For what reason would one have the right to blame the Jews in the future? Remember, Lestrade was killed near a club for socialist Jews, Edow's not far from a synagogue and the Imperial Club, and finally, This piece of apron dropped here. This building is occupied by Jewish families. The killer really did go out of his way to incriminate the Jews living in the area.
It's a bit obvious, Holmes.
Yes, but with the rumors, Watson, the author of this message would have received a response to his strategy.
You are right, Holmes. So perhaps it's a good thing this message was erased.
Whoever took the decision to do this is a man of great wisdom and courage. Let's return to Baker Street, Watson. I have some pipes to smoke to help me think more clearly.
Let's go back to Baker Street. Home, sweet home.
The Baker Street is then. Where's the map? There it is.
I had nightmares all night, Holmes. As for you, I bet you didn't get a wink of sleep, did you? It's this chalk message business, isn't it?
Among other things.
And this lunatic is still running free. If only we knew what he looked like.
But we do know, Watson. We have a fairly accurate description.
I must have missed an episode of your adventures, Holmes. Not only have I heard you discredit the value of our eyewitnesses, but the few descriptions we do have don't seem to correspond.
An inaccurate account can regain its value if we can discover why and to what extent the truth must be rewritten. We've learned a great many things tonight, and I'm able to tell you what our man looks like.
Really?
Yes, and we're going to need a few things, Watson. Find me 3 mannequins, my worker's costume, my 3 full wigs, one of your worn garments, yes, that can be used for the workman's outfit, and one of your old suits. Oh, and my deer stalker, the one I never wear, but everyone seems to think I wear day and night.
Okay, yeah, that would be probably the best place to end this episode. Yeah, the eyewitnesses are problematic because most of the time there might be a truth what they're saying, but obviously people are not that perceptive, and usually they are not staring at the happening all the time, so they usually react, and that can lead to that the eyewitnesses are a little bit misled by their own visions. Let's say in the airport, when eyewitnesses have seen airplane to come crashing down or something, they quite often see smoke or think they see smoke and burning, but most of the time it's not that. It's that fuel ejecting or something like that. So the problem is that they obviously think they know what they are seeing, that, or they think they're seeing something and they see it and they're helping. That doesn't mean that eyewitnesses are completely redundant. Obviously, there's always grain of truth in there, and depending of the situation. But yeah, they are not as clear cut also. So again, with the timeline, they're different. Usually people are not that perceptive with the time. Like I said, if something happened right now outside, now I can say it's this and this. The time was that, officer, when it happened. But usually when it happens, you probably don't know the timeline. So it's a guesstimate and how long you took walking around area to area and whatnot. But anyways, I digress. That's neither here nor there. And next time we will try to apparently make a murderer out of mannequin. Hopefully I have enough information. That would be interesting. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you next time. Until then, goodbye.